What do you think a sugar mill owner or a cooperative mill or a private mill, what are the opportunities they are sitting on?
In fact, in many sugar industry seminars, I keep telling this. My tagline is look beyond ethanol. If you want to really explain or distinguish the ethanols from its production pathways, from the product carbon footprint that they are associated with, then it's always better to talk about the carbon intensity.
Right.
From the sugar industry, bagasse is a sugarcane residue. So any ethanol produced from these sources, its carbon intensity can be as low as 10 units.
Wow.
So what is the linkage between aviation and ethanol? The most sustainable pathway would be produce ethanol from any source and convert the ethanol into sustainable aviation fuel. The popularly known pathway is ATJ, alcohol to jet.
During the G20 presidency, we came up with GBA, Global Biofuels Alliance.
GBA is now housed in Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas, the GBA Secretariat. World Secretariat, and through GBA we have forged strong alliances with those nations which have a proven track record in biofuels, like Brazil. There are 19-20 nations are there, are part of GBA. So we have a great network.
So who in India does good R&D? Is it the PSUs or is it the private players?
Definitely the R&D appetite, R&D spending, patience for R&D,
of course,
is very good in Indian PSUs.
Today, we are talking about the transition of energy from ambition to execution, from concept to reality. I am joined by Dr. SSV Ramakumar, CTO and EVP at AM Green. With nearly 4 decades of experience in R&D at IOCL, he is now at the fast scaling up AM Green. He has seen the transition from green electrons to green molecules, and we have a lot to ask him. Let's get it started. This is your host, Sriraman, and this is the Chini Mandi podcast. Welcome, sir. Welcome to the show. Thank you for being with us today. Sir, let's understand for the uninitiated, right? When we say green molecules, what does it mean, and how is it different from, let's say, a green electricity, and why does the difference matter?
Yeah, so it's a very good question, Sriram. Green electricity means it is full of electricity is stream of electrons. Let's say if you go down deep to the fundamental level.
Right.
So these green electrons, why do you call green electrons? Electrons doesn't have any color, but for argument's sake or for conversation's sake, we are calling it as gray electrons and green electrons. If the electricity is produced from fossil sources or gray sources like coal through thermal power plants, then it is associated with a lot of carbon emissions.
Right.
Then the electrons which are produced, the electricity which is produced is gray electricity.
Right.
Whereas if you use renewable energy sources like solar, wind, hydro, or a combination of any one of these forms, then whatever electricity that you are producing, it is totally devoid of carbon emissions.
Right. From the across the value chain, not just at the end point or the last mile.
Up to generation.
Up to
generation. And then probably in the transmission and at the delivery point, there will be some
transmission loss or
transmission losses would be there. And at the actual site of application, also it reaches as a green electron.
Of course.
As
then
a green
what you
electricity.
do with it is up to
Then afterwards, how this is being used, whether still some carbon emissions are there, that's a matter of
a
discussion.
Brick used for building a prison or a temple. You made a brick green. So.
So green electricity and gray electricity, that is the difference. Now let's come to the molecule. So I mean, these are all forms of energy, and the fundamental principle is energy remains constant and only it changes the form.
Correct.
Energy can neither be created nor be destroyed.
Yes.
So that is a fundamental college level science principle. So not always the electrons, the green electrons, so-called green electrons, cannot be put to use unless they are converted into molecules.
Okay.
So using renewable electricity whatever you produce chemically,
Right.
that is green molecule.
Okay. So
I'll give you the examples.
sure, please.
I'll give you the examples. You can produce hydrogen. You can produce hydrogen with conventional electricity
Right.
and fossil sources
Right.
like natural gas or any refinery streams or naphtha or anything. And each kilogram of hydrogen production is associated with 12 to 13 kg of CO2 emission,
Right.
carbon dioxide emission. So it's a gray hydrogen. It is called gray hydrogen. But alternatively, if you replace the electricity from gray electricity to green electricity, and then you change the starting material from fossil source to
Right.
renewable source. Renewable, what are renewable sources? It can be biomass, it can be water.
Right.
And by splitting the water, if you produce the same hydrogen, the carbon dioxide emissions are zero.
Okay.
So that's why it is known as green hydrogen.
The electrolyzer should use a green power to do that. Right?
Green power.
Yes.
Green power. The electrolyzer, it electrically splits the water into hydrogen and oxygen.
The energy needed for that should be coming from a renewable source.
Renewable source.
Right. So in all of this, so somewhere the gray hydrogen is what, $1, but a green hydrogen is $7-8, right? So that's a huge.
It used to be $7-8, but it is coming down by the day. It is coming down by the day. We can discuss this dynamics. But what are the other manifestations of green molecules? One is green hydrogen.
Okay.
It can be green ammonia, which is a derivative of hydrogen.
Right.
Then there are green methanol. Then sustainable aviation fluids. Right. Second generation ethanol. Second generation ethanol. This generation nomenclature is little outdated. Normally, in the ethanol industry, we always use the nomenclature first generation and second generation. But most scientifically, if you want to really explain or distinguish the ethanols from its production pathways, from the product carbon footprint that they are associated with, then it's always better to talk about the carbon intensity.
Right. So again, on CI, US has their own definition of CI. Europe, I think, have something else. There is no globally accepted.
CI is expressed as carbon dioxide equivalent per megajoule of
energy
product or energy. Product or energy.
Right.
So, for example, ethanol. Let's take the example of ethanol and explain this carbon intensity. If you produce ethanol using sugar-based ethanol, sugarcane molasses, which is the normal this thing, which is also known in the past system, first generation ethanol. When you talk about carbon intensity, always first you should understand the baseline carbon intensity. Entire globe takes gasoline emissions. Production of 1 liter of gasoline, how much carbon dioxide emissions?
Right.
Or when you combust gasoline, how much of carbon dioxide emission? It is 94 CO2 equivalent per megajoule of energy.
Got it.
So this is the baseline.
Right.
This is the baseline. Right. From that baseline, the sugar ethanol or grain ethanol, all are first generation sources. They are around 50 to 60 units.
Right. Nearly half.
Nearly half.
Right.
And then when you go to agri residue based, which is so-called second generation
bamboo
ethanol,
and so on.
all agri residues, rice straw, wheat straw, sugar beets, starches, waste food grains, vegetable waste, you take it any of them, there should be residues. Bagasse, from the sugar industry, bagasse is a sugarcane residue. So any ethanol produced from these sources, its carbon intensity can be as low as 10 units.
Wow. Okay.
Compared to 94 of gasoline and 60 or 50 of the first generation ethanol. Depending on the process pathway that you use, and if you also use renewable electricity, because each ethanol production also requires electricity, so it can go down as low as 10 or below 10. Wow. There are right now there is a bamboo to ethanol plant world's first such
yes,
ethanol.
In Panipat, right? No.
In Assam.
Assam.
In Assam,
okay.
based on our technology.
Okay.
I am associated with
Okay.
AM Green.
Right.
So it's based on a Finnish technology. We acquired that technology
okay.
globally. Now it is AM Green technology. Otherwise, it was Chempolis technology.
Okay.
So bamboo ethanol is estimated. The product carbon footprint of bamboo ethanol is estimated right from cultivation of bamboo till the ethanol production. It is around 5 units of carbon dioxide equivalent per megajoule of energy.
1/20th of a gasoline nearly.
So that means this is the correct way of distinguishing various molecules into green zone and non-green zone.
So just a question. So what would be the price of 1 liter of ethanol in this 5% CI? Would it be competitive?
It's a very, very loaded question right now. Now, definitely the low carbon intensity ethanol is costlier compared to the moderately carbon intensity ethanol. 50-60 is also low
half
carbon
of
intensity.
Gasoline, but
half
moderate,
of gasoline, but moderately.
When you can do it at 550,
so the highest support price assured by Government of India today for first generation ethanol or moderately carbon intensity ethanol is 72 rupees per liter. It varies from 60 to 72.
Of course, it varies
depending
on the pathway and so on and so forth.
But by that yardstick, it is 30-40% more as of now. The second generation ethanol, which is 5 carbon intensity or 10 carbon intensity ethanol. But having said that, there's a lot of process optimization is underway.
So it's currently, let's say, in a public beta stage or an experimental
exactly
stage?
You said it rightly. It is in a beta stage. But though 2 commercial plants are operating in our country, one is Panipat, the other is Assam. But going forward, at least my company, the AM Green, right now the AM Green's larger vision is that to set up 5 such second generation ethanol or low carbon intensity ethanol producing refineries using non-food source biomass.
The surplus and the biomass.
Agri residues or specially cultivated energy crops.
Napier grass
so grown on marginal lands.
Yeah, non-arable. You don't want to compete with food at all. So I think
that will be compatible with all EU RED 3 compliances and Western certification procedures also it meets. RIN D3 credits, D6 credits it can meet. Only when you use a crop or crop residue. Crop residue can be in the fertile land, but crops, energy crops especially, they should be in non-regular fertile lands.
No, there's already great examples of it, right? I think parts of Rajasthan now grows Napier grass. Those lands were not useful for food cultivation, or the entire bamboo story is that, right? So a lot of bamboo grown in.
And we are in the process of finding to put to use the marginal lands in Andhra Pradesh, in northern Andhra Pradesh, for this cultivation, and then those crops will be utilized for the production of this low carbon intensity ethanol.
Thank you, sir. So if let's wrap this part up. So if somebody must remember 2-3 green molecules from this conversation, what would they be?
So green hydrogen, green ethanol. I mean, let's not call green ethanol low carbon intensity ethanol. Green ammonia.
Which is used for fertilizer, and then that starts the whole cycle by
itself. I mean, green ammonia these days, ammonia can be used for fertilizers, the first use. The second use can be as a marine propulsion fuel. Because the heavy residual fuels, which are the normal marine fuels, because of IMO regulations, for the objective of reducing the maritime emissions and meet the IMO compliance, they are also replacing for alternate fuels. They are also looking for alternate fuels. It can be green methanol or green ammonia. And most importantly, ammonia is easily portable. So because of that, you can trade ammonia as a global product tradable commodity. And then wherever you want, you can crack back green hydrogen from green ammonia.
Oh wow, okay.
So instead of porting hydrogen, hydrogen is a gaseous form.
Right.
So transport of gaseous hydrogen
is a supply chain for it. Yeah.
Either special pipelines or special cylinders to store the hydrogen.
Yeah, even I think Tata Steel made special pipes just for the
exactly. The metallurgy need to be robust enough to take care of the so-called embrittlement of hydrogen.
Right.
Hydrogen is a very nimble molecule, very light molecule, very reactive molecule. It can get into the cracks and crevices of the steel metallurgy. It will be resulting in leaks.
Yeah, corrosion,
and hydrogen leak is invisible.
Yeah, it doesn't smell and invisible and
and it's very hazardous.
Right.
So the best way is you convert that into ammonia, take wherever you want, and then crack it back. There will be some losses.
Okay.
There will be some losses. Still, it is much net cost benefit analysis is always positive.
So I don't know if this was a reversible reaction. Yeah, ammonia to hydrogen.
Not exactly reversible. It requires different kind of catalysts, dehydrogenation catalysts. And catalyst science and technology is today very well mature. So easily it can be cracked back.
No, but still, if I can convert butter to ghee to butter and butter to curd to milk, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Sure, I will buy the catalyst. I will buy the process.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for this, sir. So let's start understanding the usage of this, right? So let's start. Let's look at which are the industries that are really hard to abate the carbon intensity. Let's say manufacturing, steel, cement. So where are these green molecules used today, and where should we start in theory?
Yeah. So it's a very good question. The immediate usage is for refining, steel, and cement.
Right.
And transport is little far away.
Okay.
We'll discuss about the transport industry or the transport sector. But the aviation industry is also one of the immediate, because there is a regulatory pressure. Right. Come 2027, just a year from now,
1%
CORSIA emission norms will come in of International Civil Aviation Organization, and any flight which is going from Indian skies to the foreign skies, if it is not meeting the CORSIA regulations, they will not allow it to fly.
Okay.
So you need to tackle your aviation emission footprint, and one of the surest way of tackling aviation emission footprint is by mixing certain percentage of sustainable aviation fluid in the normal ATF.
Right.
You can't operate on 100% because first of all, there is no availability of 100% ATF, and the cost differential is 2 to 3x. Okay. Fossil ATF versus sustainable aviation fluid. So these are the industries. I'll tell you, for each industry, I'll tell you where is the usage and what is the potential of decarbonization. Sure. And why only these industries? For example, refining most...
Refining steel.
No, refining.
Oil refining.
Okay. Oil refining, because I come from refining, so that's the most familiar sector for me. There are certain secondary refinery processes.
Okay.
When you...
Your petrochemicals.
When you process the crude in the primary column, you get the lighter distillates like gasoline, diesel and all that.
Yeah.
And you are left with vacuum residue, which is very hard carbonaceous substance.
Your bitumen and all those.
So people in the early days, when refining technology is not come of the age, people used to throw it and peddle it as bitumen. Bitumen. But now, buying one barrel of crude at $60 or $70 or $100, depending on the volatility of the geopolitical scenario.
Right.
You can ill afford throwing that quantity of the residue.
Right. There is so much more to be
extracted.
Yes.
So most of the modern refineries today, they're measured by their complexity factor of their capability of processing this vacuum residue.
Okay.
Which is a very hard substance.
Sure.
So that part of the refinery is known as secondary refinery process.
Got it. Yeah.
So these secondary refinery processes are highly carbon intensive, and most of the refinery emission footprint emanates from
the burning or the heating of
the secondary refinery process. It's not exactly burning, but converting this cracking the residue and extracting some usable molecules, lighter molecules, olefins.
That needs a lot of energy. And that energy is again a high carbon intensity.
High carbon intensity. So that's where, and hydrogen is the lifeline for refinery. For many of these processes, hydrogen is the reactant.
Oh, okay.
So this hydrogen today is totally produced from either naphtha or from natural gas.
Oh, it's an internal loop there.
Okay. So it's highly carbon intensive. I told you that 1 kg of hydrogen production is associated with 12 kg of CO2.
Wow. Yeah.
So people are, we are voluntarily, the oil and gas sector, the refining sector voluntarily, and also some direction from the government of India in line with our net zero ambitions for the country. What we are doing is that each refinery is having a roadmap to replace the fossil hydrogen of the total hydrogen quantity that is used in a given refinery of say 20 million metric ton or 25 million metric ton. How much percentage of that hydrogen you replace with green hydrogen?
Okay.
So there are targets for each of the refiners.
Sure.
My previous company, IndianOil, the largest refiner of this country, which owns and operates 11 out of 23 refineries. So our target is by 2030, we would be replacing at least 50% of the total hydrogen used from grey to green.
Okay.
And today, the most mature technology to produce green hydrogen is water electrolysis.
Okay.
Though there is a biomass, bio pathway is also there, only our country permits the green hydrogen produced through biomass.
Okay.
Neither Europe nor US recognizes.
Is it a
regulatory?
Okay.
Regulatory.
Issue? Yeah.
Regulatory issue, but I was part of the National Green Hydrogen Mission Roadmap, worked with MNRE and MOPNG. And when we are defining green hydrogen for India, we said that it can be through electrolysis process or it can be through biomass process, but any green hydrogen pathway should restrict its carbon emissions to only 2 kg per kg, 2 kg of CO2 per kg of hydrogen.
So from 12 we are going to 2.
We are reducing it to 2. That 2 is also, it's only an allowance.
Evolving figure.
No, it's only an allowance that 100% you can't use renewable electricity.
Okay.
So 5% of grey electricity usage is permitted to start with.
Okay.
It might be progressively tightened further.
Sure. Right.
So this is refining. But to come back to your question, so refining, this is the roadmap, this is the intent, and many refineries have already floated their first tranche of tenders. Panipat is again the front end player. They are already constructing a 10 KTPA of green hydrogen plant, electrolyzer plant.
Right. That's a green hydrogen.
That is a green hydrogen.
Right. I don't think nobody's investing anymore in regular grey stuff. I mean, it makes no sense in this world anymore.
Whatever grey hydrogen production units are there, they are there.
It's there, but nobody is further investing in it.
Nobody is further investing. Any new refinery today, you can't think of putting up a steam methane reforming for grey hydrogen.
Like building a steam engine or a diesel engine, right?
Yeah. No, but now the challenge for R&D guys is, like me, is that how will you make use of these SMRs? Okay. Suddenly they become redundant.
Right.
So can you produce green hydrogen using these huge assets, infrastructure assets? So we have worked.
Okay.
And there is
retrofit some of the components to...
No. You change the feedstock from natural gas to compressed biogas.
Okay. Yeah.
And use renewable electricity. Whatever hydrogen that is produced is green hydrogen.
Right. Okay.
So, but you need to get that much quantity of compressed biogas.
Right.
So that is it. The second and third sectors are steel and cement. So steel and cement sectors, they account for 14% of the global emissions.
Oh wow!
All over the world. So They are highly coal based for their process, steel extraction and everything. So the first sector which is amenable for hydrogen introduction is, instead of coal, you replace with green hydrogen for DRI steel. But today, the cost efficiencies of hydrogen production, green hydrogen production, may be challenging.
Right.
But there are, under National Green Hydrogen Mission Roadmap, there are so many hydrogen valleys.
Yes, 6 of them. So
Six
far,
of
right?
them,
Yeah.
And fortunately, I am on the monitoring committee of these hydrogen
Nice.
valleys by Department of Science and Technology. So I know for sure that at least two of those valleys, they have a constituent steel plant. They will produce their green hydrogen and they will service the steel plant for a part of their steel production to be converted into DRI using the green hydrogen.
Okay, so a side question. Let's say majority of green hydrogen and this hydrogen valley is in, let's say, Kerala and South.
Kerala, Pune,
right.
Ahmedabad.
I am running steel plant in Rourkela, Jamnagar, or and so on, Jamshedpur. How do you bring
So
this
there are two models.
Okay.
One is centralized production of green hydrogen,
okay,
and carrying it through type 3 or type 4 hydrogen amenable cylinders, cylinder cascades.
right.
That is logistic intensive.
Yeah, that cost doesn't add up at all, right?
It will add up to the cost, finally, delivered cost of hydrogen.
For me, if let's say I'm producing 1 kilo of steel at 30 rupees right now, you made me do it green, but it's 60 rupees a kilo.
But if you want to break those CBAM barriers, your export into Europe, probably it's worth putting those extra cost.
Okay.
Instead of paying penalty there at Europe and getting rid of the benefit of or the opportunity of European markets.
Sure, sir. Okay, that is lucrative from a business point of view.
But today it is not.
But an average builder here, a real estate player who needs steel, or a industry man, or let's say a BHEL needs steel, or a vendor
steel,
to BHEL
but
needs steel.
How amenable they are to accept the green steel and put in that extra bit of incremental cost.
So I'll put it this way. If I'm a vendor to BHEL, I have to buy 1,000 ton of steel. I want a tender at L1. So if the steel prices goes from 41 to 42, I am already sweating. I know, okay, my profits are reduced. I'm not at loss. If my 41 rupees steel is at 45, then I know I got into this.
So there should be a conscious effort, because we all, Honorable Prime Minister of India has declared that India would be net zero nation by 2047. So every industrial segment need to do its bit of contribution and effort towards that direction. So steel and cement industry, they are definitely on board to induct alternate fuels, alternate materials, which will reduce the carbon emissions. And also, the lowest hanging fruit is to improve the energy efficiency of their operations. Okay. I'll give you a small example. In a cement plant, there are gigantic gearboxes are there.
Okay.
If these gearboxes, today they use conventional lubricants.
Okay.
If you use energy efficient lubricants, that itself will save 10% of the energy.
Oh wow, okay.
So
this is like the Kaizen in Japanese.
Energy saved is lesser emissions.
Of course, every joule, every calorie matters.
Joule of energy saved is that much less of emissions. So this is out of my lubricant industry experience, I'm telling you, it's a proven fact that if you change simply a gear lubricant in a industrial cement gearbox, cement industry gearbox, from ordinary gear lubricant to a energy efficient, it's a fortified energy lubricant, energy efficient lubricant. The proven energy efficiency is 7 to 10%.
Got it. Yeah.
So this is one thing. Second, so introduction of hydrogen or green molecule, and then chemical industry, for example. Okay. Chemical industry, the platform chemical for any of the production of these chemical pathways, methanol is one of the carrier solvent.
Right.
So instead of using a fossil methanol, which is coal gasified methanol, which is having 300 CI,
wow,
300
okay,
plus CI, this methanol. Can you use green methanol, which is whose CI would be anywhere between 20-25, from 300 to 20-25.
right.
So green methanol and then green benzene. Today the benzene is from fossil source,
right,
entirely from refineries and all.
right.
So can you use a green benzene?
Okay.
So how do you do the green benzene? Because when you gasify the biomass, or when you convert the biomass into ethanol through second generation pathways, one of the byproducts is lignin.
Okay.
Because all these
cellulose.
Cellulose is the softest part, and lignin is the hardest part.
Right.
Lignin cannot be hydrolyzed. Lignin cannot be used for ethanol production. Right. It's a waste. Today people are just combusting it.
But in 2G we use that, right?
No, this lignin, today they are using it only for power generation by combusting. Okay. But this lignin is much more valuable. You can convert this lignin into value-added products like cosmetics, like marine fuels, green marine fuels, as a binder for bitumen to produce green bitumen.
So I thought lignocellulosic was the entire 2G of ethanol.
All your rice straw, wheat straw, they are all lignocellulosic biomasses. Okay. Lignocellulosic biomass means it is a combination of cellulose. In cellulose also there are two types of cellulose. Okay. C6 cellulose and C5 cellulose, which is known as cellulose and hemicellulose. Okay. They are surrounded and protected by a very hard substance called lignin. Lignin is a polycyclic aromatic phenolic compound. Okay. So in the 2G process, the first step is to delignify the cellulose and release the cellulose. Okay. And this cellulose will be hydrolyzed to produce sugars. Right. And sugars, when fermented, it gives the ethanol. Yeah. That is the pathway. Right. This lignin, how you want to use this lignin? Because the lignin percentage is almost on par with ethanol. So can you call it as a byproduct or one of the main products? Right. So this is around 25 to 28% lignin in any biomass. It will be there. Got it. This lignin can be converted into battery material. This lignin can be converted into filler material for resins. This lignin can be converted into marine fuels. Okay. So this
is there anyone doing it right now?
We are doing.
AM Green is doing.
AM Green is doing. Globally, many people are doing. Right. Chempolis, our parent company.
The Finland company.
The Finland company, which we bought over. Right. They are also doing, and many PSU R&Ds are also doing.
Excellent. Okay.
PSU R&Ds are also doing.
So we are talking about benzene.
Benzene, yes. From lignin you can produce benzene.
Okay,
so
it will be green benzene now. Okay.
That will be a green benzene. Okay. The PCF, what we call product carbon footprint, or CI, of this benzene would be 10x lower than right. The fossil benzene.
Got it. So we covered aviation, we covered refinery, we covered steel,
we haven't covered the aviation as yet.
Okay, we were talking about it on the rules, the regulations warranting it, and the need for SAF.
Yeah. Yes. So what is the linkage between aviation and ethanol? Let me just say one or two sentences. The sustainable aviation fluid can be produced by different pathways.
6 or 7.
And these pathways are approved by ASTM. Okay. And only one has to produce using any of those approved pathways.
Got it.
Then only CORSIA will recognize that.
Okay.
So, two of the prominent pathways is, one is you gasify the biomass, produce syngas, and this syngas, when it is mixed with green hydrogen, you can produce SAF.
Okay.
This is known as ESAF or FT-SAF. Fischer-Tropsch is the reaction name.
Okay.
But the other most plausible, two other plausible ways are there. One is what we call HIFA pathway. All your used cooking oils. Used cooking oils, they can be trans-esterified and then they can be co-processed in the existing refineries.
So do we have that much leftover cooking oil to be used in?
That's the main challenge. Okay. Because today majority of the HIFA, whatever is available to any of the refineries in the world, is from China.
Right.
China, when it stops the exports of HIFA, and if it is going to produce its own SAF using HIFA, then if a
that
route,
pathway rules that
pathway will be ruled out.
Right.
So the most sustainable pathway would be produce ethanol from any source and convert the ethanol into sustainable aviation fuel. The popularly known pathway is ATJ,
right.
alcohol to jet. Alcohol to jet also, depending on what kind of ethanol you are using, whether you are using a low CI ethanol or whether you are using a very high CI ethanol, the end product CI also varies. If you want a premium SAF with very low CI, then you have to use your alcohol also very low CI. Right. That's where the second generation.
Every building block should have lower CI, so the final product has lower CI.
And of course, whatever little hydrogen is required in this pathway should be green hydrogen.
Got it.
And the electricity should be green electricity.
Right. The entire value chain.
Value chain. Right. So SAF is one of the biggest downstream value addition for the ethanol.
Okay.
So instead of just blending it in gasoline and burning it and reducing 20%, 30%. Today, national blending average is 20%.
Right.
But there is some brainstorm going to further increase the blending percentage to 37.
The whole industry is waiting for it to happen, but yes.
Yeah.
That's for another podcast by itself.
Yeah. So the estimates are that the first generation ethanol would be 1,000 crore liters surplus by 2030.
Right.
So what will you do with that? That's why people are thinking that the percentage should be increased.
Already we have excess capacity now, waiting for further blending mandate to come.
Yeah.
And we can't export at the current prices either.
Yeah.
So it's in a scenario of its own. Though I'm not bringing that up, I'll talk back about SAF right now. So we have that one indicative 1% blend by 2027. It's not yet.
Again, that is the committee convened by me. I was the convener of that.
I have the right person. I know
that. So we have submitted the recommendations for blending of SAF for India, and we have given a roadmap of 2, 3, 5, and 10 up to 2030.
Right.
So Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas accepted it. But the operating ministry is Ministry of Civil Aviation, MOCA. So the report has been accepted by MOPNG. MOPNG has already issued a notification to its oil companies, the PSU oil companies, to be prepared so that you will meet the blending percentages of these 1 to 5.
So here is my question. That came out about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
27 is going to come in next 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Where are we?
I would be pleased to apprise you that all the PSU oil companies are ready with SAF production. But on the easiest pathway. Because each of them are having operating.
Easiest pathway being ATJ.
Not ATJ. Co-processing in the existing refinery of used cooking oil. So IndianOil, the reports, when the last reports came in, now I'm no more in the system, but I can only say that from the public available information that they are ready with the pathway and they are ready with the ingredients, and somewhere H1 of 2026, the first batch of SAF will be ready.
Oh, nice.
And HPCL, BPCL, MRPL, each one of them are in the pathway of producing. So as far as the lower percentage of blending by 2027 is concerned, India is self-sufficient.
Great.
But our ambition, Indian ambition, is not just to meet the Indian requirements.
Of course not.
We want to be a global exporting hub for SAF. So each company, including AM Green, is in the planning stage to set up integrated SAF plants. For example, AM Green is planning to set up a 2G ethanol biorefinery. And within the premises, or maybe in a aggregation mode, they would like to aggregate the entire ethanol and put up a SAF unit so that it will be end-to-end from biomass to SAF.
Okay, so thank you for this. This sounds good for the nation and the world, right? So last we know was there was a test, flight that went from Pune to Delhi using the.
I was a part.
Yeah, the Praj Industries did.
Yeah, Praj and IndianOil also has done.
Of course, IndianOil, of course. So that was again years ago, right? So to even meet
3 years ago.
Yes. So many years have rolled by. You're saying all PSUs are ready. why aren't we blending? Why are we waiting for some Muhurat to come? I mean, genuinely.
No, India as a nation, it has not gone for voluntary blending.
Okay.
There is a voluntary phase right now, voluntary phase. But definitely come 2027, it is mandated. So
yes.
then I think we are ready to.
Sir, the mandate again, the note PIB, if you read that from MOPNG, it doesn't say mandated, it says again indicative only.
Exactly.
So the wordings are a little.
So even in the recently concluded IEW, everybody, there is a new SAF announcement was there using UOP technology, a private player called TrueAlt as announced. And AIM Green is in the final negotiations with all the licensors to set up a 2G SAF plant. 2G ethanol to SAF.
Right.
So we are also in the process. And IndianOil also, I'm sure, is 2G ethanol to SAF. They have announced long back again in Panipat, but they are holding it back because right now the easiest pathway is getting the UCO, used cooking oil, and processing it as a regular refinery product.
Got it.
So you are asking that why they are not blending?
Yes.
Why they are not blending? I think come 2027 they will be doing it, but everybody is waiting for Ministry of Civil Aviation's mandatory circular. MOPNG is not the ministry, coordinating ministry. MOPNG is responsible for making available the SAF.
Right. Blending
that. But the blending mandate and the regulation need to come from Civil Aviation and DGCA.
Right.
DGCA. Any moment it is expected.
Great. Sir, just before this, we were talking about our ambition is not just at 1%, be a global or a powerhouse or exporter of SAF and so on. Sounds good. So, we during the G20 presidency, we came up with GBA, Global Biofuels Alliance.
Yes.
Is that just a symbolic move, or do you think it is as powerful as our UPI? For example, UPI is bigger than Visa today in many counts, right?
Yeah.
So, do you think we have such opportunities in any green energy, any green molecule?
So, GBA is now housed in Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas, the GBA Secretariat, World Secretariat, and through GBA, we have forged strong alliances with those nations which have a proven track record in biofuels, like Brazil. We have today very good relations with Brazil, and the technology transfer, technology understanding, technology exchange required for promoting the biofuels in a big way, on a commercial way. There are 19-20 nations are there, part of GBA. So we have a great network. It opens up as a market also for Indian producers among the GBA nations.
So which green molecule India has the highest opportunity to be the center? Like, for example, when you say ethanol, Brazil is what comes to mind. Maybe US is the highest producer. So which molecule can India produce at scale, export at scale?